Probably about a month and a half ago, we had somebody join us on the Red Zone. I think they were from Stockholm. I can't remember exactly. Um, and they wanted to know if there was a way to create a sticky header for their survey because they had a survey that was really, really long, and they didn't want to lose the header as they scrolled up. So I created this demo here that this is just a field, descriptive text field, that as you scroll, it sticks to the top. And then you can see here that the residential information sticks to the top. So as you scroll, it will stay there. Um, it was actually surprisingly easy to do this. There's a property in CSS that's for the position where you can set it. It's called sticky. Um, so let me go to the design and I'll show you um, what I did. So I just have this field name here called sticky header, and it's a descriptive text field. This can be done with any field because what it's going to be using is um, the actual field name, the ID that REDCap applies to the field name. And then down here, you can see this residential information is just a new section. So the new section is a little different because you don't give it a name like you do with the descriptive text field. So if we go to the external module, and this is just using the CSS injector, there's no JavaScript at all. And it's actually a pretty short bit of code. Let me paste it in my notepad here so everybody can see it. So all you're doing is you're setting this position value to sticky. Um, and you're setting the top to 0. And what happens is this gets applied once um, that element reaches the top of the page. And then because I'm applying, so this is the sticky header, and then this is um, the new section for the residential information. Because I'm applying it to both, as I scroll up, the first sticky header stays there, and then as I continue to scroll, once the residential information banner hits that, then it takes the place of the other header and then continues stays there as the page scrolls up. So another thing you might want to add, and you can mess with this if you need to, but it's called the Z index. And that is, if you think of the elements on a web page sort of as layers, um, anything with a Z, everything has kind of a Z index of 0 just by default. And if you want something to pop forward, you give it a higher Z index. And some people put like 999 because that's, you're never going to have anything that's that far up. Just guarantees that nothing is ever going to get in front of that because nothing will have a Z index higher than that. So if you run into a problem where um, this is not, it'll stick there, but you might have other elements that kind of roll over the front of it. Sometimes it'll happen um, with like radio buttons. And actually, let me open up my email and the lady that I was demoing this for sent me a survey of hers, um, and I can show you exactly what it does. They have this little Mimecast Protect here, which is kind of interesting. It redirects for their survey. Um, so as her, you can see here these radio buttons are staying on top. The labels are going behind, but the radio buttons are staying on top. So this might be something where you would want to set the Z index for this to be higher, so that everything slides underneath the sticky header. She has another issue with hers that I need to look into, because when the auto scroll happens, it's so like if we tab through the questions, when it auto scrolls, the it stops and the question is underneath the header. So she wants me to try to figure out a way to have this work and play nicely with the auto scroll. But for this demo, this is all we really need, is just you're just setting the sticky, the position, and the top, and this you could just set as 999 for this. You might, I haven't messed with this, but this might be something where these would have to be separate, because once you're setting a position, these two would have the same Z index, and so they should overlap each other, but it might cause weird things. I haven't tested it. It's not necessary for this at the moment. So you just have this information here for the header, and you just put it in your CSS injector. I have it set for all the pages. So even if we looked at it if we wanted to add a record, it'll actually work in the data entry view here. You can see that these slide up. So it's not that it's not just for surveys. And then you can have it on the project pages you want. The way I got the information for the residential information banner, like always, I just right-clicked on the element and clicked inspect, and then found the ID for it here. So you can see this table row element, and it helps if you can see both of these, because then you can kind of hover over and you can see it highlight exactly where you need to be. And you can see here that this table row element is expanded, but if we close it, you can see all these table row elements for each of the fields. So that's a way for you to know exactly how far out you need to be, because if you have this open, you might think that you're here, you might need this here or here. But you can see at the bottom of this trail here that these don't have an ID. So you can see here that this little pound sign is for an ID. And if I click over here, these don't have any IDs on them. So we want to make sure that we're targeting that field, that entire field, that entire container, and that's where this table row comes in. So that's where I grabbed this address dash sh dash tr element for the code here. And you just separate them with a comma. Let me put that back up here. So any element. So if you do have a survey that you have a bunch of section headers that you want to use, or multiple fields that you want as you scroll, you would just separate them by a comma, and this will apply to all of them as you scroll up. Does anybody have any questions about that?